Today we're visiting the Juice Tank and we're going to meet the guys behind Futurestay, the company disrupting the $100 billion travel booking industry. Hey, Philip.
Trey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Have a seat.
Now explain to me, what exactly is Futurestay?
Futurestay as a company is the fastest growing vacation rental management system in the world. The actual software that we create is a central point of command for a vacation rental manager or owner, allowing him to manage or control his property all over the internet from one piece of software that we give him. He can either plug it into his existing website or he can create his own website at futurestay.com.
That's fantastic. Now, where did the idea come from?
Well, I've been a software developer for most of my life. I started programming when I was 7 years old, and I've always loved to create things. So it was a pretty natural fit for me to create a web development company right out of college. So I had lots of clients in different lines of work, and one of them was an interior designer who owned 7 properties, and she wanted to figure out how to manage her properties online. She couldn't find a piece of software to do it, and I couldn't find one that I could recommend to her that wasn't thousands of dollars a month. I realized there's so many vacation rental owners like this across the world.
How is Futurestay different than the others?
So that's an excellent question. So the thing is, for any startup in general, it's easy to look at a marketplace, a space, any industry, and say, there are 2 or 3 big players that everyone knows in this industry. How am I going to compete?
Exactly.
Well, do they have 100% market share? Most likely not. Even in really dominated industries, you typically see 10 to 15% market share taken by one of the big guys. So if there's 10 to 15% taken by a big guy, what happened to the other 80%? So there's plenty of space out there to play. Just don't go after the exact same slice of the pie.
Explain to me, if you can, just a little bit about the business model and the business plan that you created for this.
Sure. So a lot of the big names that you may be familiar with in the vacation rental space, they primarily serve the traveler, like you or I. If we wanted to go on vacation and rent a home somewhere, we could go online and search at a number of different portals, right? Well, Futurestay, we serve the vacation rental owner or manager, and we specifically serve the average owner or manager. The vacation rental industry has 100 billion, with a B, dollars in bookings annually. And the vast majority of those bookings don't happen on all the popular sites that you've heard of. In fact, less than 10% do. So the other 90% of vacation rental bookings are happening via checks, cash, phone calls.
Point to point.
Point to point, exactly, person to person. And 65% of those persons that are involved that own these homes are average people, like you and I. So there wasn't a solution out there to make their lives easier.
What were some of the key metrics that made you think that, yep, this is going to work?
Talking to our users, talking to our customers, and watching the market respond. You need to build something, we call it a minimum viable product in the startup world. You build it and you get it out there and you get it in people's hands, and you know you're doing something right when they start complaining that you're missing features. So that's when we started realizing we were onto something. We were getting literally hundreds of requests and complaints from people saying, why doesn't your software do this? I really need that. You know, I can't find something that does it, because if there were an easy solution for them, they wouldn't even write an email or call us. They would just go use the easy solution.
Now, you may have coined this term, so correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were first working on Futurestay, you had the business model, but not the business delivery. What did you mean by that, and what is it?
Sure. So business delivery is incredibly important. That means how you're going to get your product or service into the hands of the people that need it. But for a small startup, it has to be something very, very scalable. Sometimes you'll read articles about people called growth hackers. Have you seen that?
No.
Growth hacking is essentially the practice of figuring out how to get your product or service in front of as many people as possible on the lowest possible budget, kind of like guerrilla marketing.
Gotcha.
It's the evolution of that, using software to automate as much of the process as possible. So in our particular case, a combination of growth hacking and building strong relationships with existing players in the industry was part of our delivery model.
And what are some of the benefits that you've seen from being involved in Juice Tank?
Juice Tank is a great space. We love the fact that there are so many companies in the space. It's kind of like you just bounce off of other companies and individuals, and you learn just by being in the same area as them.
Now, you guys use a model freemium, and a lot of tech startups have been shying away from that.
Because it's a pricing strategy that essentially lets you give your software for free, but then charges customers for premium features.
How did that work for you, and why did you insist on on staying with that model?
For Futurestay, the reason why it made a lot of sense for us is because what we were interested in is the actual vacation rental inventory. We were interested in having Trey's Beach House use Futurestay because we know Trey's Beach House is going to generate future revenues in general. He's going to need supplemental and auxiliary services to be sold to him, and he's also going to need to get his inventory listed in places that he doesn't currently list. And most importantly, in vacation rental travel, there isn't a central aggregator of vacation rental inventory that can just take Trey's Beach House and put them everywhere online.
Now, one thing I read in an article that I thought was very interesting, when seeking investors, you brought up relationships and how important they were in addition to money, dollars. Sure. Explain that a little bit.
So when we started reaching out to people that were potential investors, but instead of asking for potential money or asking to pitch, we literally just went around and asked, can you tell us what you think of what we've done so far? Can you tell us what you think we could do better? And we started getting real advice, and that advice led to relationships, and that they led to friendships. And some of those friendships, in fact, numerous of those friendships, led to investments.
Coming up, Futurestay's Chief Operating Officer, Jonathan Fabio, shares insight on how to build an acquisition strategy in a $100 billion industry. Welcome back. Futurestay is expanding fast. They're acquiring 1,100 properties per month and monetizing those bookings daily. In 2 years, Futurestay has built a portfolio of 27,000 global vacation properties.
Hey, Jonathan, just caught up with your co-founder, Philip. You give me a lot of insight into what Futurestay is, but I kind of wanted to get your perspective too.
Sure. Well, thanks for sitting down with me, Trey.
What is it exactly that you do?
So officially, as my title in Futurestay is the Chief Operating Officer. As some of us know in startups, we wear many, many different hats, but a lot of operations, marketing, sales, business development.
Now, what were some of the things that worked that looking back, you're like, yep, that was a home run?
I would say as far as a home run, I think when we kind of started to figure out our acquisition strategy and kind of figuring out that, or learning that why fight the industry. Don't try to fight, don't try to come in and take your piece of the pie or whatever it is, and let's figure out ways how we can work with the industry and how we can work with the big companies and the big players and to use it to our advantage.
The company started right around 2 years ago. You now have 1,100 new listings a month.
Yeah.
You guys are a global company. You're in half the countries around the world.
Yeah.
How important has the marketing strategy been for Futurestay?
We scale by partnerships. You have a product or service, we have a product or service. How can we give you users? How can you give us users? And how can we share in the rewards, whatever those rewards may be financially or whatnot. So vacation rental owners are very difficult to find because it's hard to identify them. Our strategy was to be everywhere where vacation rental owners already are. And what are the services they're using, and how can we partner with those services and get in front of those vacation rental owners? Yeah.
How involved were you in in seeking out revenue and getting investors?
Phil and I did that, side by side. We went through the process together. We have, again, complementary skill sets. We have a great rapport with each other. We work well within a room and talking to people because we know each other so well now. So the personalities can kind of come through, and investors want to see the team. They're investing, they always say, they're investing in the jockey, not the horse. So the team is super important for them, and for us to be able to go out and fundraise together and show them how we work together and how we interact went a long way.
How did you know that this was going to be a viable business?
There was a lot of research. We were seeing all this missing infrastructure in a gigantic industry. It's a $100 billion industry. Kind of identify, okay, there's an opportunity. Now what kind of product is going to work here, right? So how we kind of defined it when it worked was when it just started getting adopted a lot quicker. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Hey,
I've learned so much about Futurestay. It's ridiculous.
That's great. Well, now you're ready to open up your own beach house, right?
TreysBeachHouse.com.
Trey's Beach House, yeah. We'll take care of the site and everything for you when you're ready.
Thank you very much.
All right, Trey, thank you.
While I get to work on TreysBeachHouse.com, here are some tips that will put your business on the map. Number 1, concept test. Before you fully create your idea, engage potential customers with a prototype to see if you have a viable product. Number 2, courting investors. Before approaching investors, seek their advice and knowledge first. That way you know exactly what they're looking for. Number 3, getting the upper hand. When competing in a highly saturated market, Look for weaknesses in your competitor's service and offer solutions that address them. Thanks for watching New Jersey Means Business, your how-to guide for starting your own company. If you have a comment, idea, or business to share, send us a note at newjerseymeansbusiness@fios1news.com.